What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel for another 1/6 scale third-party review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Mars Toys School Badass, the MAT-20, better known as Biff Tannen from Back to the Future Part 1. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, there's been a lot of controversy over on Facebook and Reddit regarding this figure and how the final product head sculpts turned out. So of course, in this video, we're gonna dive in. I'll do my best to show those head sculpts off as good as possible. And of course, I will be open and upfront and honest regarding this figure with you guys. Without further ado though, let's take the plastic clamshells out of the packaging and see how it arrives to you when it lands on your doorstep. So now we have both plastic clamshells removed from that art box so we get a better idea of how everything is laid out in the packaging and everything that it comes with. I will say, included in the shipper box, but not actually in the art box, you have this baggie here to the side, which has a pair of jeans and a black belt in it. Keep in mind to watch out for that in your packaging, at least from Onesixthkit, that's how it was packaged, so I'm guessing it'll be the same for everybody. I'm assuming it didn't fit in the packaging and that's why it was done that way. Guys, we're gonna do this review a little bit differently. We'll take a look at the hands close up and any other accessories apart from the extra clothing. The extra clothing, let's not waste time. We'll just actually throw that on the figure later in the video so we can see what it looks like on the figure. But without further ado though, let's take the figure and all of the accessories out of the packaging and let's take a closer look at all of the details. I do want to first off commend Mars Toys on the paintwork and the amount of hands included with this set. As you can see, you have 8 extra hands included, 2 pre-installed on the figure. 10 total hands for a figure that you can't do that much with in terms of what it's included with is definitely really awesome. And also, like I said, the paintwork is incredible. You could see on each hand we have airbrushed in veins, you have some speckling in the skin, some red patches here and there, just some really nice paintwork on all of the hands, and that's consistent throughout. So I feel like Mars has some of the best third-party paintwork in the game. You also get 3 different magazines. You actually get 2 copies of the Sports Almanac and you get the Ooh La La magazine. So these magazines actually have pages in them that you could look at, and obviously this is that racy, like classic porno mag, and Mars clearly did this. I know he probably had a laugh out of this, so if you have kids watching, maybe have them look away. But as we go through the pages here, you could see Mars spared no expense here on the photos included in this book. So I thought that was hilarious, and I did not expect that when opening this up. And the same thing goes for the Sports Almanac. You have pages that you can go through in here as well. Sorry it's so bright on the camera because of the bright light, but definitely really cool attention to detail. Here's our display base, the typical style of base that Mars does include. I love this graphic. Love the copyright infringement because that just looks really cool to me. Those colors are awesome. Of course, it does come with a crotch grabber that is not currently installed. You do have a nameplate on the front that says Biff, and I think this looks very clean. So a very good choice in graphic, in my opinion. All right, here's the fun part, guys. We're taking a look at the extra head sculpts included in this set. I believe this was the pre-order bonus. Let's just get this out of the way, guys. This is easily the worst sculpt out of the 3. To put it bluntly, I don't think this looks anything like Tom Wilson. I was actually very surprised. Like, sometimes you see final product photos and you're like, okay, in person, it'll look a little bit better. Unfortunately for this one, there was really no saving grace. I don't know what happened. I feel like the original sculpts look pretty good. I know some people had some complaints about them and Mars made changes. And I feel like the changes that he made, at least for this particular sculpt, are very welcome. Is it a bad sculpt if you want to like use it for something else? No, it's painted really well. Like if we get close up, you can see it's painted pretty well. I know Mars is also working on a Griff and Mad Dog Tannen from the 2nd and 3rd films. That's really exciting. Hopefully he takes the feedback on these and runs with it. He did also mention to me when I was talking to him earlier that he may consider doing a singular sculpt as an upgrade that you could buy. So fingers crossed. Like I said, guys, for me, I think this is probably the worst head sculpt that he's done in a while. That's no shitting on Mars. That's just being honest. We got to be honest with this stuff because how else can you improve? It's a good head sculpt for someone that's not Tom Wilson. Shockingly, guys, with this open mouth yelling sculpt, I don't hate it. Now, is it a top tier sculpt? No. but I think it looks more like Tom Wilson to me for some reason. I actually kind of like it because this is like, you know, maybe when he gets covered in manure, this is a perfect sculpt to use for that moment. Or, you know, just any other time that he's yelling at Marty throughout the film. But this is definitely better in my opinion. I will say the hair is sculpted really nicely on all of them, and I do like that fade that he has on the sides. Again, the color is just wrong. It's not this dark. It has to be like a lighter blonde color. But with that being said, like I said, I don't hate this one. It's not great, but I definitely think this is the second best of the lineup included with this figure. You can see, once again though, the paint apps are actually pretty nice. So that's actually it, guys, for the stuff included with this set. So now we're going to grab the figure. We're going to take a look at the default configuration with the clothes pre-installed and the head sculpt pre-installed. And then we'll take a look at the rest of the clothes installed on the figure as well. So here we are with Biff Tannen, aka the School Badass. I will say this is probably my favorite configuration as he comes in the box. In terms of the head sculpt choice and the clothing, I always love that gray jacket. Not that the other two outfits aren't iconic and incredible. I just always love this look. Now, rotating him around really quickly just to see those proportions, guys. Obviously, I have the feet bent up a little bit just to fit him in frame. The clothing feels very nice quality, like it's a thicker material. I feel like Present Toys has been kind of cheaping out on their material lately, and Mars has always been pretty consistent with that, in my opinion. So I think he looks great in that regard. Getting him closer, though, on that head sculpt, I feel like this is easily the strongest sculpt of the bunch. Does it look like Tom Wilson? Spot on. I'm super happy with it. Not necessarily, but I don't think it's the worst sculpt. I actually think it's good. It's not great, it's just good. If I had to give it a rating, probably like a 6.5 or a 7 max, you know? So it's not saying it's a solid head sculpt, but I think it's good enough to where I'm happy to put him in my collection with this sculpt on it. In person, I think it does it a little bit more justice as well. I know a lot of people say that, but it's true. In person, I think this one comes off a little bit better. I'll get up a little bit closer so you could see the likeness on this one versus the other two. And again, I think we can all agree, whether you think this is a solid sculpt or not, it definitely looks better than the other two, in my opinion. And I feel like in this lighting, I think it's doing it justice, especially to see that paint work. Again, the paint work is pretty solid as usual from Mars Toys. I did unzip the jacket so we could see the layers underneath. We have what looks to be a black t-shirt under there. Biff trying to look fancy with his tie, not paired with a button-down shirt. You can see that little liner on the inside of the jacket. The stitching is extremely nice on this coat. Like, I feel like Mars's tailoring is just getting better and better. And again, I mentioned this earlier, but the material is just really nice. So really commend Mars on that. Moving down though, we do have two open relaxed hands as we usually see pre-installed on the figure. The pants are really nicely done, nicely sewn, nicely pleated. If we pull up one of the pant legs, you do have socks underneath as usual. We love to see that. It actually rides up pretty high. That's actually the plastic ankle peg there, which is pretty interesting. The shoes are very nicely detailed, very nicely done. There they are from the top. I know it's hard to see because they are all black. We do have some really nicely sculpted tread as well. So overall, guys, again, in this configuration, I feel like this is my favorite, or of course, any of the other outfits with this head sculpt. I feel like that's the way to go. He is going to be plenty posable, guys. We're not going to go crazy on the posability. One thing I do want to point out, though, you do have single jointed elbows because he does have that short sleeve look. Every company does this because it makes it look more seamless. It sucks for posability, but it does look better. So I can't dock him for that because even Hot Toys does that. You do have plenty of ab crunch. Of course, the legs go as high as you want them to. No restriction in the clothes whatsoever, and I'm sure that'll be the same for all of them. In terms of the knees, they are ratcheted and they go very far, so I'm pretty happy with that. And I will say the ankles are not as loose as some of the other stuff from Mars Toys. They're a bit on the sturdier side, so I'm pretty happy about that. So overall, guys, he's plenty posable. Of course, the head too, I almost forgot about that. Plenty posable. Without further ado though, guys, let me grab my Apex time case. We'll go through some quick poses with the different outfits, and then we'll close out this video and I'll share my final thoughts. So I've got him here, obviously, with the clothing and a head sculpt pre-installed on the figure straight out of the box, just with his hands at his sides, and I feel like this is probably the best look for him in my opinion. I love the way the layers sit on his body. I love the proportions, and again, out of all three head sculpts, this is definitely the strongest in my opinion. And getting a nice zoomed in high-res shot of that head sculpt, you could see it's about 65 to 70% there. It's definitely not 100% Tom Wilson, but this one's definitely serviceable and usable in my opinion. And I think next to Marty and Doc, he's gonna look right at home with this head sculpt. I've got him looking all pissed off here, throwing up the dukes, ready to toss McFly into a locker or something. I don't have the sleeves rolled up, as you could see. It was kind of a pain in the ass, so I didn't even bother with it. The details are actually pretty nice on the forearms. They have some sculpted in detail, which I didn't expect. Just be careful when you're putting this together. You do have to pull the belt pretty tight, but I think he looks pretty decent. Again, with this sculpt, if you have him kind of ready to kick some ass, it kind of works a little bit. It's a little bit goofy looking, but you can make it work. Again, getting closer up on this sculpt as well, you can definitely make it work. I can understand a lot of people are going to absolutely hate this sculpt. I totally get it. And I've already seen people commenting about it. But if you have him in a pose like this where he's ready to fight, or he's angry, or if you make a mud-covered custom with this sculpt or something, it could definitely work, whether the likeness is 100% there or not. And here we are with the final look in that last head sculpt that we had to put on the figure. Once again, I think it's very clear, especially here, that there's just really no likeness to Tom Wilson really at all on this head sculpt here. Definitely not a huge fan. It's a bit unfortunate because this was the bonus head sculpt. However, I'm glad that I at least like the pre-installed head sculpt enough to enjoy this figure. I think the outfit looks great. I've got him in this like greaser pose with the hands in the pockets. I think that looks awesome. And close up, it doesn't really make much of a difference in my opinion, but here he is. Like I said, definitely the weakest head sculpt of the bunch, and definitely probably my least favorite outfit as well, so just not a good combo in my opinion. And for those of you who are curious of scaling, here he is with the Hot Toys Part 1 dock with the Onesixthkit head sculpt. And here he is next to the Hot Toys Marty McFly Part 1 2.0. I think the height difference is close to accurate. You know, Tom Wilson is considerably taller than Michael J. Fox in real life, so I think it works. It might not be perfect, but I think they look very good together. Guys, that's going to wrap up this video. I hope if you're kind of on the fence about pre-ordering or keeping your pre-order, I hope this helps you make that decision. I hope I showed these sculpts and the figure in good lighting. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you next time, and I'm out.